Hey guys, welcome. Happy Monday and welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, thank you for coming, my darlings. And yes, today is a silent live. Remember to watch for a period of time, thumbs up, and leave a comment, and I'll get right back to you. And thought for today is trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. And in all thy ways he shall direct thy path. And thank you for coming again. living for. You are my choice every single day, Amara. The intensity of his gaze, the sincerity in his voice, disarmed her. Slowly, she let go of the jealousy. Though the pan remained, a reminder that love was complex, and hearts weren't simply things. They spent the evening talking, sometimes in silence, sometimes laughing at small things. Shared memories, playful teasing, little glimpses into who they were as individuals. Greg's honesty had created a new intimacy, one that was raw and tender, binding them closer together. And for the first time in a long while, Greg felt the quiet thrill of challenge rising alongside the warmth of love. A reminder that love, even in paradise, was never without its twists. Chapter 32. The call that stirred you. The soft hum of the ceiling fan, blended with the gentle crash of waves against Negro's shore. Greg sat in the new living room, legs stretched out on a plush rug, sipping the last of his coffee, when Amara's phone buzzed again. This is Jonathan, she said softly into the phone, her voice warm but slightly formal as she greeted him. Greg felt a flicker in his chest, almost imperceptible at first. He had just shared his deepest truth with her, the past, his love for Tessa, his guilt, and she had received it with grace. Yet now, as he watched her smile, laugh merrily, and tilt her head while listening, he felt that old, uncomfortable thought of jealousy. You are back in Jamaica? Amara asked, voice soft and curious. Oh, that's wonderful. How long will you be here? Greg tried to distract himself, focusing on the patterns in the rug, the faint smell of the sea breeze, but his mind kept returning to the sound of the laughter. Why is it that every time someone from her past calls, my chest feels like it's being pressed? He murmured under his breath, asking himself. Amora glanced at him, a curious smile touching her lips. Everything all right over there? She shook his head quickly. Yes, of course, I'm fine. But the knot in his stomach said otherwise. Jonathan's voice carried easily, though through the speaker, warm, familiar. He had a calm that immediately put people at ease, the kind that had made him such a beloved figure in their shaped circle at Edna Manley. As Amara spoke to him, her expressions emanated and light. Greg found himself quietly tense, struggling to reconcile his protective instincts with the trust he had for Amara. It's just him, he whispered to himself. That guy, just an old friend I know. Nothing more. But still, he annoys the hell out of me. Greg whispered to himself quietly. Minutes stretched into an hour. Jonah recounted stories from their college days, people they knew, the dances, the performances, long nights of painting, rehearsals, and laughter. Amor laughed at Emma's story, and Greg noticed how animated she became, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia and delight. He felt part of him wanted to hear her laugh, to be a part of the shared memories, but other part felt like sting of jealousy. He had participated. He was just excited as he watched her respond with
promised to meet soon before he returned abroad, of course. Amara hung up. Her face sounded unapologetic. Oh, sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to spend so long on the phone with Jonah. I thought his name was Jonathan, said Greg. Yes, his name is Jonathan, but as close friends, we call him Jonah. And there was an awkward pause. Truly, Gregory, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to. I mean, he's just an old friend. She protests. I know, said Greg, forcing a smile. I guess it's hard seeing how easily you connect with people sometimes. Makes me realize how much I'm still learning to trust you. I'm more reaching over and giving it a hand. You always need to work. I remember the time it was you. That what she tried to reassure. Frank nodded, but deep down he felt the unease still shivering. Jonathan was coming, and soon. He hadn't known exactly what to expect, and that uncertainty made his chest tight with protectiveness and touch. Yeah. Chapter 43. The Waiting Game. The next few days were a mix of domestic list and quiet tension. Whether Morris spent their mornings putting final touches and maneuvering, gleaning, laughing as they debated paint colors and furniture arrangements. We cooked together, danced in the kitchen to old reggaetons, and walked the short stretch to the beach at sunset. One of their favorite things to do. Beneath the laughter, the anticipation of Jonathan's arrival lingered like an undercurrent. Greg found himself watching Amara a little heartbrokenly, noticing the way her eyes lit up when she recounted a funny memory from school or spoke to an old performance. The small, easy bond she had with Jonathan began to stir a protective edge in him, a desire to shield their cocoon, their fragile intimacy. Amara said one evening, as they sat on the veranda of the villa, I have been thinking, Jonah wants to see me before he leaves. I am thinking tomorrow evening, maybe. Mark stiffened slightly, masking it with a nod. Sure, that's fine. She noticed his hesitation, but chose not to press. I will be back before dark, she added, leaning in to kiss him slightly. I'll tell him it's just a quick catch up, she said. Margaret said quietly after she left the room. The mix of anxiety and protectiveness knotting his stomach. A quick catch up, huh? Hmm, I hope so. I hope this doesn't complicate things, he thought to himself. But almost stretched. He busied himself arranging medical equipment for the upcoming practice, running errands, anything to keep his mind from spiraling. And yet, every time he thought of Jonathan's charm, his smooth confidence, the way he had been part of Amara's life for years, Greg felt the edge of insecurity sharper. By late afternoon, he watched the sun dip into the horizon from the veranda, the ocean glowing gold. He reminded himself that Amara had chosen him, that she was building a life with him. But the waiting, the unknown, was almost unbearable. He paced the room, running scenarios in his mind. What if Jonathan tried to impress her? What if? What if he reminded her of something before Greg arrived in Jamaica? God damn it. I have to stop doing this to myself. How the hell did I allow myself to become they were carefully building, and he could prepare himself to step into conversation with honesty, confidence, and heart. As twilight descended on the neighborhood, the first rays of light approached their way. Greg's heart tugged, not just from anticipation, but from the perspective jealousy thoughts that have been simmering all week. The moment of truth was approaching. Realized that love, as fragile and beautiful as it was, required courage, not just to live, but to trust.
Welcome,
Even when
welcome. Thank
shadows of
you.
the
Thank you
past
for
tried
coming
to
in.
creep
Remember to
into
thumbs up the live.
2024, the
Appreciate you being
arrival
here.
of the
Welcome,
dawn,
guys.
the liquid sun had begun to dip beneath the horizon, casting long shadows across the neighborhoods around the paved road. His heart steady, drum beat in his chest. He had known this day would come, the day Amara's path would physically intersect with the cocoon they had built. Yet nothing could have fully prepared him for the flutter of nerves and protectiveness coursing through him. The gravel crutch under tires, announcing the arrival of Jonathan. Greg's hand instinctively tightened around the edge of the counter as he watched Amora walk toward the small gate to greet him. She looked radiant, casually elegant in a flowing dress, her smile warm as she welcomed her old friend. Jonah, she said carefully, it is so good to see you back. Greg remained in the background, arms crossed, chest tight, with a familiar pull of jealousy and protective instinct. His gaze followed every gesture, every laugh, every casual glance Jonathan gave Amora. Jonathan turned his dark eyes meeting Greg's for the first time. There was a brief pause, an almost imperceptible evaluation. Two men sizing each other up, each measuring stakes and boundaries. Greg nodded gently, but he forced Jeffrey, Jonathan said smoothly, extending a hand. I have heard so much about you. I am Jonathan. My friends call me Jonah. Greg took the hand first, but now it's nice to meet the man she talks about, said Jonathan. Greg's jaw tightened, imperceptible. The man she talks about? A subtle trait wrapped in politeness. Yet he reminded himself to stay grounded. Amara had chosen him. She was here with him. Amara, oblivious to the silent war of glances, ushered Jonathan onto the veranda. Sit, please. Let me get you some drinks. It's been ages since we last saw each other, Jonah. As she moved inside, Greg's eyes remained on Jonathan. There was charm there, yes, but no danger. Still instinctively, he found himself seated slightly closer to Amara than necessary, a silent protective barrier. Jonah leaned back, stretching his legs casually. This is beautiful. I didn't realize you two were so settled here. Greg forced a relaxed smile. We have been busy. whispered under his breath, hearing a curious look from Jonathan. Jonathan smirked. Dangerous. Only to those who can't handle a little nostalgia. But Greg felt his lips tighten. Oh, nostalgia. And still standing between us, he leaned back, slightly allowing himself to listen, observe, and control the small edge of jealousy that threatened to flare. As the evening deepened, subtle tests of trust emerged. Jonathan would glance at Amora, make a slight joke, and Greg would feel that familiar protective pulse, wanting to assert his place without seeming possessive. Yet, he also felt the responsibility to trust Amora, to allow her space, to not let his insecurities dictate the dynamic. Eventually, Amora led Jonathan on a tour of the property. Greg followed at a measured distance, slightly watching in every smile, every shared glance. He realized that his protective instincts weren't merely jealousy, they were love, fierce and fragile, rooted in cocoon they had built together. By the time they returned to the veranda, the tension had evolved into a subtle understanding. Jonathan had met Greg, assessed him, and now seemed to respect the quiet faith he had on Amora's life. Greg exhaled slowly, tension easing, but not fully gone. Amora caught his eye across the table. "You were quiet," she teased slightly, her hand brushing his. Greg smiled faintly, warmth returning to his chest. "Just observing," he said, letting the words carry the dual meaning. Jonathan's love rang out light and unassuming. Light and unassuming. "Greg, you have got a good thing here. I can see why she's with you, man." Greg's lip twitched into a controlled smile. "I intend to keep it that way," he replied, voice calm, but carrying a quiet edge protectiveness. As the night wore down, the three sat together. The tension diffused, but the undercurrent deepened. Greg realized that trust, love, and friendship could coexist, even when shadows of the past loomed nearby. The cocoon had held, but he knew the coming days would test him further, and he would need every ounce of patience, courage, and honesty to navigate it. And for the first time, he allowed himself to quietly hope that the past would coexist with the present without threatening the fragile, precious bond he shared with Amora, formations and surprises. The morning after Jonathan's visit, the sun rose lazily over Midvale, painting the sky in soft shades of apricot and rose. Greg and Amora lingered over breakfast on the veranda. The gentle crash of the waves accompanied their silence. The air was tender but heavy, a residue of previous evening's subtle tension. Greg stirred his coffee slowly, eyes on the horizon. Though his mind replayed Jonathan's charms, ease, the way he had fit so effortlessly into Amara's world, he had done his best to remain calm, to observe rather than react. But the protective pulse in his chest had not fully subsided. Amora noticed. She reached across the table, her hand brushing his. "Greg, I can tell you were thinking about him." Greg exhaled, meeting her gaze. I just don't want to feel like I'm an intruder. I'm intruding or I'm an intruder. That maybe I don't measure up to someone who has been in your life longer, he expressed. Amora smiled softly, her tongue stroking the back of his hand. "Gregory, you totally need to measure up. She's going to know how much you mean to me. The day unfolded quietly. Their laughter mixed with chores around the house, little debates over silly things, and playful teasing as they finalized the last touches of Greg's new look. There was an ease between them now, the kind that only comes after honesty and reassurance have been fully shared. By late afternoon, Amon reminded Greg of a promise they had made to visit her grandmother in Manila before she returned overseas. They packed a small overnight bag and drove straight into the hills. The winding roads giving them glimpses of the beautiful mountains and tall coconut trees. The conversation between them was light, interspersed with gentle touches and shared smiles, each one a reminder of the couple they have been cultivating. Her grandmother's mansion, placed elegantly on a hilltop, welcomed them with soft scent of gardenias and the sound of hummingbirds flittering among the flower beds. Amara's grandmother greeted them warmly, pulling them into a warm home that carried years of love and encouragement. Ah, my child, come on in, she said, ushering them inside. You must stay tonight. I will not let you leave without a proper goodbye. And Amora, she looked at her granddaughter, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I have a surprise for you. Something I have been planning, something I hope will help you move forward with your art, said her grandma. Amora eyes wide with curiosity and excitement. Really, grandma? What is it you have up your sleeve now? Her grandma nodded. Yes, you. You have so much talent, my dear child, but you need support, encouragement, and sometimes a little push. I have arranged something special for you, a scholarship opportunity at a summer art workshop abroad. Fully funded and a mentor. I know personally will guide you. I want you to keep following your heart, child, and never let anyone make you doubt your gift or yourself. Encourage your mom. And for that son of mine, that big-headed of yours, pay him no mind. He has been living his life, and like I tell him regularly, to leave my grandchild alone and let her be. So this is your time. Should you accept, of course, said Grandma. Tears glimmered in Amara's eyes, mixture of gratitude and awe. She turned to Glenn, who had been standing slightly absorbed in the moment. He smiled gently, squeezing her hand. See, you have people who believe in you, he said softly. Amora leaned into him, the weight of the past weeks, their secrets, confessions, and reassurances, now balanced by the tangible support of family and love. And I have you too, she whispered. Greg kissed the top of her head, feeling swelled up with pride and tenderness, always near her. The evening was filled with warmth and laughter, and quiet reflection over dinner. Stories were shared, plans discussed, and the bond between the three grew. Greg, Amora, and her grandmother strengthened. The grandmother surprised had ignited a spark in Maura's aura, one that Greg recognized instantaneously, and he felt the privilege to witness it. As they prepared for bed, settling in the guest rooms with the comfort of familiar love surrounding them, Greg whispered into Amara's ears, you are incredible. Never forget that. You are my incredible too, she said. Amara put a pile of pillows between them, with knowing very well that that's the line that should not be crossed. Greg looked at her and smiled. Amara smiled. The quiet glow of the room reflecting the unspoken promise between them. The cocoon they had built, tested by honesty and reassurance, had grown stronger. Outside the hills of Madrigal were bathed in moonlight, surrounded resilient one. I hate to do this, but I am leaving for Paris a little sooner than planned. I wanted to say goodbye before I go. I'm always go orange. Oh, that's sudden. But of course, safe travels. When will you leave? In a couple of days, but there's something I would like to say to Greg personally. If he doesn't mind, Jonathan added, a note of hesitation threatening his words. Amal paused, sensing the nuisance in his voice, in his tone, but gave a small laugh. Sure, I'll let him know. I'll hand the phone over. Hey Greg, it's Jonah. He wants to say something to you. Greg gave her a question note. Greg took the phone, careful but alert. Hello, Jonathan. He said, trying to mask the flicker of curiosity and the protective instinct he always felt around this man. Greg, Jonathan began, his tone serious and kind. I owe you an apology. I hope you hear me out, said Jonathan. Greg raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. I may have tested you a little, indirectly, perhaps without realizing it, but my only intention was to see if you were the outstanding man Amara always spoke about. I needed to know she's in safe hands. And now, after spending time with you and seeing her with you, I can say with certainty, you are. You are exactly who she deserves, Greg. You make her happy. That's all I ever wanted for her. Greg felt a shake inside him, a warmth spreading from his chest. Thank you, he said simply. I appreciate that, Jonah. Jonathan chuckled softly. So now, you finally called me Jonah. Okay, good. That's all I needed to say. And I'll leave you both to continue building this beautiful life you're making. Take care of her, man. Greg, really. And when I return to Jamaica, let's have lunch somewhere meaningful. I would like to get to know the man she loves even better, said Jonathan. Greg smiled and eased settling over him. We do that. Safe travel, Jonah. And thank you. Really, thank you. Said Greg as the call ended. Regular, her eyes bright with a smile that now carried no shadows. He realized fully that Jonathan's presence had been protected. Not threatening, not more importantly, he understands that Amara's life was entwined with him now, regardless of anyone else. Later that afternoon, they sat together at the dining table, sunlight flickering through the windows, creating small patterns on the tablecloth. Amara had prepared a light meal, and the soft flutter of plates and cutlery punctuated their quiet conversation. Well, Amara began, careful and gentle. I want to know, my friendship with Jonah is nothing more. I could see he called you Scott. I didn't want you to ever feel that uncertainty. And I just want to say I'm sorry. Greg reached across the table, holding her hand. I know. I understand now. And I trust you. I just, sometimes my mind races when I see you. I see people from your past. But you, Amara, you are my present and my future, he expressed. Amara smiled, the corners of her eyes crinkling. You are Percy, and you are my present and my future too. That's never been questioned, she said with a smile. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Amara's expression shifted slightly. Thoughtful. Greg, my grandmother, scholarship offer. The summer workshop abroad, I will be away for some time. Fully funded, but a mentor guiding me. It's a chance I can't ignore. But it means time apart. Greg nodded slowly, squeezing her hand. I know, and you should go. Distance can't break us, Amara. She exhaled, relief evident in her posture. You really knew that? Of course, said Greg, voice firm. We have already built trust, honesty, and love. A few weeks apart won't add new life. And you will be chasing your dreams. I can't ask you to stay behind for me. But when you are back, we will be right here, stronger than ever. Amara's lips curved into a grateful smile, leaning across the table to press a soft kiss on his hand. You are amazing, Gregory, she said. Frank's heart swelled. The cool they had matured and nourished in the love, the honesty, trust, felt ready for the next step. He set down his work, looked into her eyes, and saw the reflection of all he had hoped for. Amora, he said softly, taking both her hands now. There is something I need to know. Something I should have done, I said before, but the timing didn't feel right. But now it is. Her eyebrows lifted in curiosity, a gentle tremor of anticipation in her expression. I know you don't believe in shopping up before marriage, but I respect that completely. I don't want to rush you. I don't want to rush you. But he reached into his pocket, pulled out a small, simple ring, holding it between his fingers. I know in my heart that you are the one, the woman I want to share everything with. My life, my dreams, my love. Amora, will you marry me? Amora eyes widened. Tears gave her with joy. She pressed a hand to her mouth, trying to steady herself, then nodded. Unable to speak at first. Yes, 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 he agreed. I will marry you. Brett slipped the ring onto her finger. The simple gold band catching the sunlight streaming through the window. He leaned across the table, capturing her in a gently deliberate kiss, soft but charged with love, trust, and the promise of a shared future. They pulled apart slightly, hands entwined, smiles radiant. The weight of past secrets, misunderstanding, the distant ties lifted, replaced by the solidity of their love and the adventures that awaited them. And this summer, Amar whispered, we will manage. You will go to Boston if you need to. I will grow as an artist tomorrow, and we will come back together to each other. Excitement filling her body, her being. Greg nodded. Exactly. And when we do, we will have people more to share, more to drink together. Our couple will only grow stronger. Amora's grandmother watching from the doorway as she had came in for the surprise. With a knowing smile, stepped forward and embraced the baby. This is how love is meant to be first. Child, trust, patience, and courage. You have both felt it. And he kissed them both on the forehead and said, now I leave you both, as I have to get myself off this island. It's all of business. As she said her goodbye, the evening settled around them like warm blankets. The distant sea whispered promises of tomorrows filled with dreams, challenges, and love fully embraced. And for the first time in a long while, Greg felt completely certain his heart, his home, and his future were all here with Amora. Uh, Thank you guys. And yes, to the end of the story for this week. Oh, I'm so happy for Amara and Greg. So yes, guys, the proposal to place. And it's very unorthodox and simple, but I guess that is really very Amara if you look into it. They try to build their own household, with so much happening in Amara's family and Greg's family. They really don't want anybody to rain on their parade, so they have done it the way they want to. And Michelle. Here for the first time, happy to have you. And of course, I have been reading a book called Chance at Love, written by one author. Yes, and last week we had left off where Amara had gotten a call, and yes, the call had left her surprised and unsettled. So, my darling, this is your new name. I like the name, darling, and we have past been associates, and we are family over this side, and we feel comfortable calling you my darlings. So that's the new name. If you don't like it, you can put a suggestion underneath in the comment section. Kitchen, my darlings. Hey, darling. Let's get right into that story and see what that phone call is all about. Amaro, how long do you plan to waste your life like this? Her father snapped. A hotel job? Really? You think your degree from Economy worth anything if you don't put it to proper use? Your mother and I didn't sacrifice so you could run around painting, waitressing, and dancing in a hotel. We told you before, nursing was the way to go. That is what you should have done. A real profession. Yelled her dad. Her voice wavered. Daddy, I told you already that that's not what I want. I want, said Amora, stammered. One doesn't pay the bills, Amora. Want won't make us proud. You are wasting time. You are wasting your life. How long do you think this foolishness can last? You need to come to your senses, child, her dad. The call ended as abruptly as it began, leaving a hollow silence in the atmosphere. When she came back into the room, Amara's face was pale, her jaw tight, but her eyes shone with unshed tears. She sunk into the chair, clutching the edge of the table, seeking balance as the room felt like it was spinning. Greg rose quickly and rushed to her side. Amara, are you all right? Her shoulders trembled, and then the words poured out, raw and broken. Why? Why can't they just see me? Why? Is it never enough that I work hard, that I graduated with honors, that I followed my heart? Why must it always be about what they wanted? Why do I always feel like I am failing them? She cried. Brett crouched down beside her, gently taking her hands. He felt the heat of her arms, the small tremors running through her fingers. He wanted to take every wound, every scar left by those words and carry them himself. Oh, he said softly, his voice steady, even as emotion pressed against his own throat. You are not failing. You are more than enough. You are brilliant. You are talented. And you have a heart most people would give anything for. If they could see that, it's their blindness, not their failure. If they fail to see you. Her tears spilled then, silent but fierce, and Greg pulled her into his arms. She didn't resist. She leaned into him, her forehead against his shoulder, her hands clutching his shirt. They stayed like that for a long time. They only saw the uneven rhythm of her breathing and the steady thump of their heart. That's the only sound that lingered in the air. When she finally pulled back, her face was streaked with tears, but there was softness
being here. Appreciate it.
His fingers linger longer than they should have. She didn't move away. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, closing the distance in the smallest but most profound way. Their lips met. It wasn't hurried or careless. It was tender at first, almost instant, then deeper, as though years of unspoken words, fears, desires were all unraveling in that one moment. Greg's hand slipped to the back of her neck, holding her close, while Amara's fingers curled into his shirt. The kiss was everything they have been circling, everything they have tried to hold back, and now neither of them wanted to. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Amara leaned her forehead against his, eyes still staring into each other's depths. This, she cleared her throat. This feels dangerous, she muttered. Greg gave a shaky laugh. Then, maybe it's worth it, don't you think? He asked. And for the first time, the line they had both been afraid to cross was no longer a line at all. It was a beginning. Chapter 23. The pull of something more. The kiss lingered long after it ended, even as they moved about the house, even as Amara tried to tidy dishes she had abandoned, even as Greg shuffled papers on the counter to busy his hands. The weight of that moment pulsed between them, quiet but undeniable. Glance felt charged. Every brush of hand, every accidental touch seemed to ignite something neither of them was ready to name. Greg caught himself watching her as she rinsed Kate, her lips foot on toes. She wasn't humming now, wasn't teasing him. She was quiet, too quiet. Amora, he said softly, leaning her tone uncertain, cheerful. There was silence again, heavy but not empty. It was filled with evening. After she insisted on walking home instead of letting him drop her, Greg faced his new living room. The space felt too big, too small. Without her in it, his mind replayed the kiss over and over, each time tightening the knot in his chest. It had felt so right, so natural, and yet, behind the sweetness of it was weight. Secrets still lay between them like shadows. His silence about his past pressed on her. His warmth in his chest. Now then, and even before, and he feared that if he let himself fall, if he let her fall too, the truth would shatter it all. But he also knew this. He couldn't go back. No, he couldn't pretend that it hadn't happened. He didn't want to. He refused to. Meanwhile, across town, Amal sat at the edge of her bed, her phone in her hand. Though she hadn't touched it for a long while, she peered at the wall, looking down after at the phone, her mind laying Greg's voice, his hands. The way his lips had pressed to hers with such reverence, it made her knees weak. She felt flabbergasted, but still froze, sitting there on her bed. She exhaled shakily, pressing her palm to her face. Then she kicked her legs in the air. Why him? She whispered to herself. Then the reasoning replayed back to her as a question. Why now? She had promised herself after the heartbreak break on Edna Monday after the betrayal that had nearly broken her, that she would never give her heart so easily again. She had told herself she would guard it everything. It made her feel seen in ways she hadn't known she needed. But what if he was hiding something? What if her father's doubts were right and she was only fooling herself again? She
Hey
barely
guys, thank
maintained her
you.
veil,
Appreciate you for sticking and
falling between the
staying.
fire of attraction and the weight of fear. The next day, they met again. Amora coming by to help arrange curtains in Greg's sitting room. Neither mentioned the case at first, though it sat in the room with them like a cherished present. Greg reached to adjust the curtain, and his hand brushed against hers. She froze as they stood there, wrapping their hands around the linen. Her breath catching, he hesitated, eyes meeting hers. Amora, he said, his voice low. Her heart raced. She wanted to step closer, to lean into him again, but the fear of what it might be tethered her to the floor. She stepped back. Instead, her voice trembling. Greg, we can't. We shouldn't rush this. He swallowed. The sting of her retreat gripped at him, but he nodded slowly. I know. I don't want to rush either. I just, he paused, searching for the right word. I don't want to pretend it didn't happen, Amara, heard her gaze. Her fingers twisting in the curtain. Neither do I. The truth of it hung between them, fragile and precious. The days that followed were pushed and pulled. One evening, Greg brought her flowers from the market. Her favorite hibiscus, yes, their vibrant red petals rolled against her hands. She smiled. Her heart softened. But later that same night, she pulled back, telling herself not to get lost in him. Another afternoon, Amora invited him into her community, showing him a small cafe where she often painted. They laughed together over cold drinks, their shoulders brushing as they leaned over, watching a sketch on the table that she had previously painted. The air buzzed with the coldness, but then her fear whispered again, and she reminded him firmly, we are just friends. Right now, convinced at all. It sounded more as if she's trying to convince herself. It was torture, sweet, aching, torture. Greg found himself caught between respect and longing. He admired her strength, her boundaries, the way she fought to protect her heart. But every time she pulled away, he felt something inside him tearing, something desperate to reach across the gap and hold her close again. One night, as they stood outside her home after he walked her back, the tension reached its peak again. She lingered at the gate, her hand resting on it, but not opening it yet. He stood close, too close. The night air thickened around them. Tomorrow, he said, his voice rough. Tell me to stop if this is too much. Her breath hitched, her eyes locking onto his. Greg, she whispered. The words seemed to still. The casadas hummed, the stars burned overhead, and for one suspended heartbeat, they were joined together again, lips almost brushing, before she stepped back with shaking hands and gently pushing him away. I can't, she whispered, at least not yet. Greg just ached, but he nodded, his jaw tightening. Samara. Her eyes softened, filling with something between fear and hope. Just don't break me, Greg, she responded. He swallowed hard, fighting the truth growing inside him. Never, never, my love. As she slipped inside and the gate clicked shut, Greg stood in the quiet street, his heart heavy but burning, his head down. They were on the edge of something neither of them could control anymore. The closeness was undeniable, the attraction fierce, but the fears and secrets still hang and held between them. And he knew sooner or later the dam would break. Chapter 24. The truth between them. The night pressed heavy against the windows, the sound of waves faint in the distance. Greg sat on the edge of his couch, his elbows on his knees, staring at his hands as if the answer to his turmoil were written there. For days now, he and Amora had circled each other, only to close by force neither could deny, only to retreat in fear the moment it grew too strong. Tonight, something in him snapped. He couldn't take the circling anymore. When Amora arrived, her laughter brightened the house at once. She had brought a basket of fresh fruit from the market, placing it on his counter as if she had done it 100 times before. You really need more color in here, she teased, pulling out mangoes, oranges, and ripe bananas. You live like a bachelor, Greg. Too plain, don't you think? He smiled faintly, but his chest was tight. Maybe I was waiting for someone to fix it all for me. The words made her pause. Her eyes met. Something in his tone, raw, stripped of pretense, made her heart beat stumble. They sat together at the table, the ear charged, the silence speaking louder than their small talk. Amara fell with a piece of fruit, peeling it slowly, as if buying something or some time. Greg drummed his fingers against his leg, every muscle taut. Finally, she set the fruit down and whispered, Greg, I can't keep doing this. He swallowed. Doing what? Dance. This pretending we are not whatever this is. Every time you look at me, I feel like feel it in my bones. And then you pull away. I need to know if it's real or if I'm fooling myself, she said. The words pierced him. He leaned back, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. His secret burned on his tongue, but fear clamped it down again. Amora, he said, his voice breaking. It's real. It is as real as the breath we breathe. Or it's real. But I am afraid. I must admit, he said. She leaned closer, her eyes searching his. Afraid of what? Rex stood suddenly, facing the room, running a hand through his hair. His body trembled, not from anger, but from the sheer weight of what he was about to say. I am I am afraid if I tell you the truth, you will see me differently, Amora. That you will think less of me, that you may want to walk away, okay, as though finally tearing free of a chain. I've never with anyone, not because I didn't have the chance or even many opportunities, trust me. At Harvard, it would have been easy, but because I couldn't, I didn't want to give myself away where there wasn't love and where I come from. betrayed me. After how my parents blamed me, I swore I would never give myself away unless it was real, unless it was safe, unless it was love, and it is something permanent. Greg Blake started. The tension flooded out of him like tide. His knees nearly buckled with relief. You mean you didn't think I did? He asked, with a surprised look on his face. Her thumb brushed against his cheek. Weak? Greg, I think it makes you stronger than most. You waited. You respected yourself enough to wait. That isn't weakness. That's worth. Something inside him broke open. Then, not with shame, but with release. All the years of secrecy, of silence, of carrying the burden of what others might think, dissolved under her gaze. Their lips met again, but this kiss was different. It wasn't born of hesitation or fear. It was fierce, desperate yet tender. Two souls colliding in truth at last. His hands framed her face, hers clutched his shirt as though anchoring herself to him. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Rick pressed his forehead to hers. Amora, you don't know what you have just given me. For the first time, I feel like I can breathe, he whispered. And for the first time, she whispered back, I feel like I don't have to run. They stood there in the quiet, their secrets no longer trains, but threads weaving them closer. And for the first time, their band wasn't built on what they hid, it was built on what they shared. Chapter 25. In the light of Antara. The days that followed, Greg's confession felt different. Subtle at first and unmistakably so. It was as if the veil had been lifted and the world around them was lighter, sharper, more alive. For so long, their connection had been marked by tension, by retreat and advance, by the invisible boundaries of unspoken fears. But now, with the truth between them, something shifted. There was still gentle, but it was no longer a dance of hesitation. It was the steady walk of two people daring to finally stand side by side. Morning light. Amora woke in Rick's bed the next morning, not because she had stayed the night, but because for the first time she allowed herself to linger past the early hours. She had fallen asleep on his couch after they spent the late night talking, pouring out stories from childhood, the scars they carried and the dreams they were too shy to say before. She started awake to the scent of fresh coffee and laughter from the kitchen. His sheet padded in, still barefoot. Greg was at the stove, his shirt sleeves rolled up, humming under his breath as he scrambled eggs with surprising confidence. You are cooking, she teased, leaning against the doorway. He glanced over his shoulder, a sheepish grin tugging his lips. Don't look so sharp. Harvard may not have taught me how to fry eggs, but leaving alone in that today, I can manage the basics, he said, smiling. I'm more around. The sound light and warm. I believe it when I taste it. You're serious. He set a plate before her at the counter. Excuse me.
Happy Monday, guys. Happy Monday again. If you're just joining in, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and my WH. God bless you.
Lights in a place that matters more than any exam, grade, or hospital. quietly, her thumb brushing his jaw. You have carried so much alone, Greg. Maybe it's time you let someone carry it with you. He kissed her then, not fierce, not desperate, but tender. It was a kind of kiss that didn't demand anything beyond presence. And in that kiss, he felt her words take root. Laughter in the rain. One afternoon, while running errands at Sutton for caught them on the street, instead of rushing for cover, Amora spun in the rain, her dress clinging as she laughed, arms stretching wide. Come on, Greg, she shouted, her curves plastering her face. Come on, let's enjoy the rain. This is Jamaica. Enjoy the beauty of freedom and the simplicity of life, she said as she turned around in the rain. He shook his head at first, but when she reached for his hand, tugging him into the rain, he gave in. They laughed together, soaked to the bone, spinning like children with no weight on their shoulders, pressed but neither cared. By the time they ducked under a small shop, their laughter had faded into breathless gasps. Their threats spread together as water dripped down their faces. In that silly and planned moment, they found joy that felt like freedom. That night, wrapped in blankets on the couch, they talked again, not about secrets this time, but about dreams. Greg confessed he wanted his practice to be more than just a clinic. He wanted it to be a place from scratch. She whispered it as though embarrassed, but Greg's face lit up. Then you should do it, he said fiercely. Don't hide it. If it's what makes you come alive, Amara, you owe it to yourself to chase it. The conviction in his voice broke something open inside her. For years, she had heard only criticisms, only demands. To hear someone believe in her so fully, it made her eyes sting with tears. Greg, she whispered, voice trembling, I think I am falling for you. The words slipped out before she could stop herself, and she froze, wide-eyed, but Greg only smiled, his own chest loosening. Good, he whispered back, pulling her closer, because I am already falling for you. As the night deepened, they didn't need to kiss or touch more than the simple holding of hands within the blanket. The intimacy was already there, in safety of confession, in the warmth of laughter, in the stillness of knowing they no longer had to circle each other. For the first time, both of them allowed themselves to believe, truly believe, that this was love. And guys, we will take pause here for today. Yes, so there you have it. Greg and Amara have fallen deeply and hopelessly in love. So stay tuned. Let us see if alright, this will be a smooth sail, or what is around the bend, as we say in Jamaica. What is awaiting them around the corner? Will something be there to trigger their newly found happiness and serenity? Well, you have come this far to end the video. Remember to thumbs it up and share it out. And if you have not yet subscribed, you are new here, my darling, welcome. Here we see each other as friends, as family, and we address each other as darlings, because we feel safe with each other, enjoying each other's company as we listen to the quality fun and what would we say? You tell me. Suspenseful, or steamy, or what is it we call our story? You have to listen. Listen carefully. then you can make your own conclusion. And thank you for coming in once again. Always Philippians 4 verse 13. I, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. So whatever you plan to do today, you do it to the best of your ability. Bye bye. Bye bye, my darling. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And thank you for being here if it's your first time. Welcome to my channel, Simply Michelle. Yes, so I have been reading the story called Chance at Love, written by Moa, of course. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for supporting the videos. And last week's story, we have left off wherein you have Amora and Greg. After they have finally come full circle, with each other, and starting off on a rocky foundation. Instead, there comes the in-laws with the claws out for their son. This week, without itching, let's get right into that story. So excited. Chapter 19. Building Dreams. The sun rose soft and golden over the grill, the waves washing the shoreline with a rhythm that felt like blessing. For the first time since leaving Boston, Greg didn't feel like a fugitive from his old life. Instead, he felt like a man beginning anew, standing at the edge of something both terrifying and beautiful. And Amora was right there beside him. Ready? She asked. That morning, her curls bouncing lightly as the sea breeze played with them. She carried her sketchbook tucked under her arm as if even house haunted needed the presence of her art. Greg nodded, though his chest felt heavy and unusual, more than ready. Let's see what the future looks like, he said. They had arranged to meet with a local realtor, Henry directly and discreetly recommended. A stout, cheerful woman named Mrs. Walters, who had been selling property in Negril and Mandeville for more than 20 years. She greeted them both with the easy warmth of the island. Well now, she said, smiling broadly as she adjusted her glasses. Let's find you a place that feels like home, huh? The first property was perched on a small hill overlooking the ocean. It was a modern villa with wide verandas, glass windows that reflected the turquoise water, and lush gardens that framed the building like a crown. It's beautiful, Amara whispered, standing by the railing that overlooked the horizon. Her fingers brushed the wood slightly, her eyes soft with wonder. watched her rather than the view. The way the sunlight touched her face, the way her lips curved into a hesitant smile, it struck him more deeply than the blue of the Caribbean. He could see her here. He could see them here. But the thought tightened something inside him. Was it too soon to imagine Amora in his life permanently? Was she ready for something so binding, so irreversible? Amara turned, catching the gaze, and for a moment her eyes searched his. As if she could read the depth of his thoughts, she laughed softly, perhaps to break the weight of it. Don't tell me you're already picturing the wall, painted and a swing at the porch. Greg chuckled. Though his throat was dry, something like that, you can say. They toured two more houses that day. One, a charming colonial-style house tucked away in the heart of Negril, a quiet neighborhood, surrounded by flowering hibiscus and mango trees, also sweet sap trees, and even raspberry. Another, a sleek modern retreat with clean lines and a pool that mirrored the sky. Forrest sketched little details at each place. The curve of a window, the way a bougainvillea spilled over a villa, the view of a rocky cliffside. Greg noticed that she didn't just look at the structures, she looked at how life would feel them. By mid-afternoon, they sat together on the veranda of a seaside cafe, sipping on fresh coconut water. So refreshing, thought Amora. Do you ever feel, Amora said softly, tapping her straw against the ring, like all of this is moving so fast? Greg's chest tightened. He had been waiting for her to say something like that. He leaned back, his eyes fixed on the waves. Every day. Sometimes I think I am just rushing headfirst into something I don't fully deserve.
Oh.
That maybe you'll wake up one morning and wonder, what on earth are you doing with me? He said, searching her face and looking deeply into her eyes. Amara looked at him. Her expression shifted, part surprise, part tenderness. Greg, I don't think that I just, she hesitated, chewing on her lower lip. It's not that I don't want this. It's just, I have dreams before that felt so real and they broke apart. I don't want to lose
Give him a
myself in
chance,
something
man.
too quickly. Her honesty cut straight to him. Greg reached across the table, his hand covering hers. I don't want to rush you, Amora. Not in anything. That truth is, I see a future with you. That scares me more than anything. Because it's the only thing I have wanted that feels like it would slip away if I push too hard. He said, her eyes softened, and she gave his hand a squeeze. Then let's just keep walking to it, step by step. If it's real, it won't break, she said. Later that week, Greg began making inquiries about opening a small practice in the Blair. He visited a modest office space not far from the beach. walls freshly painted and its rooms filled with possibility. He imagined patients, locals and tourists alike, coming through the doors. He imagined healing not just a profession, but as a way to root himself in this community. When he showed the place to Amara, she walked slowly through the rooms, touching the walls as if she were feeling their story. This feels right for you, she said at last, smiling faintly. You are not running anymore. You are building. And she looked at him with a sweet, soft smile. For the first time in his life, Greg James, or Greg Thompson, wasn't dreaming of duty or escaping. He was simply dreaming of permanence. And though a shadow of fear still lingered, that maybe Amara wasn't ready, that maybe this pivot all would spook her, he held on to the quiet hope that their steps, however tentative, were leading them home. Chapter 20. Foundations. The first sign that things were becoming real came not from a contract or a lawyer's call, but from the echo of Greg's footsteps on the tile, the floor of his new office space. It was nothing fancy. 3 modest rooms, a waiting area, a small reception desk. The walls were plain, the paint still smelling faintly new. But to Greg, it was perfect. He could rarely see the patients walking through the door, hear the hum of life filling the space. Amara stood at the center of the room, her hands on her hips, her eyes scanning everything. It's bare, she said at last. Greg chuckled. Bare? That's one way to put it. She grinned, pulling her sketch pad from her tote bag. Excuse me. But I can already see it. You mean warm colors. Nothing sterile. Nothing sterile. Like black in Boston. The people here will want to feel welcome. Not like they're in a cold clinic. Greg tilts his head, watching her sketch a few quick drawings and designs. You really think about things differently, don't you? He asked. That's what artists do, she said slightly, with a grin on her face. We don't just see what's there, you know. We see what could be. He stepped closer, glancing at the lines she drew, the bright flourishes of Caribbean colors. She suggested. I like what you see, he said. Their days soon took on a rhythm. In the mornings, Greg worked through the qualities of licensing and setting up his practice, speaking with local officials, hiring receptionists, and a nurse. Amara often came with him, her laughter softening otherwise tense conversations. By afternoons, they wandered through furniture shops. Amara tugged him from one display to another, holding up sketches and samples. Oh, it was a fun time. This, she said one afternoon. Here, this, holding up a piece of fabric patterned with hibiscus flowers, would look incredible for your waiting area, she said. Greg wrinkled his nose. That seems a little bold, don't you think? I know you love hibiscus and all, but come on, Amara, this is a practice. Amara tilted her head, smirking. Greg, you are in Jamaica now. No one wants to sit in a waiting room that feels like a Boston, what do you call it? Boardroom. This is Jamaica, my friend, she said. Greg could not help back the laugh. He laughed so hard, given it. You were right. You were right. Let's do it, he said. Would you like... You know what? Never mind. Let us proceed, said Amora. Her hands pleased, and he felt his heart swell. It wasn't just about buying furniture or organizing a clinic. It was about building something together. Every decision felt like a piece of their future being laid brick by brick, and that warms his heart and gives it hope. And then there was the house. Greg had signed the papers for a small villa tucked in a quiet lane just outside McGrill. It wasn't extravagant, but it was his sanctuary. He and Amora spent hours wandering the rooms, deciding where furniture should go, which corners would hold art, which balcony would be the best for coffee at sunrise. I think this room should be your studio, Greg said one evening. Greg said one evening, pointing to a sunlit space with
Welcome,
wide
welcome.
windows.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here.
Blinked Amara.
Remember to thumbs up the live. You can leave a thumbs up, thanks.
Don't you think you're getting ahead of yourself, Mr. James? The last time I checked, we were just getting to know each other. Her chest tightened, and she looked at him with eyes glittering faintly. You're really making face for me here, aren't you? Greg's voice softened. I don't want to imagine this place without you in it. And he took a pause as they both held each other gaze, with words unspoken, looking deep into each other's soul.
Oh.
A week later, as they drove towards Mandeville, Amora's hand fidgeted on her lap. She had been quiet most of the ride, staring out of the winding roads and the misty hills rising in the distance. Greg glanced at her, concerned. You look nervous. It's my grandmother, Amara said with a small laugh that gave away that she was indeed feeling nervous and edgy. She's well. Well, she sees through people. She always has. And she's protected. If she doesn't like you... Greg smiled faintly. Then, you just have to hope she does. Don't worry about it. Let it all just happen naturally. The house was breathtaking, nestled in the hills of Mandeville. The mansion glowed in warm cream and soft tone, its gardens sprawling with orchids and ferns. Amara's grandmother, tall and elegant, despised her ears. She was a beautiful woman and met them at the door. Amara, she said warmly, pulling her granddaughter into a tight hug. Then her sharp eyes turned to Greg. So this is the gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
She said softly, studying him as though weighing his soul. Greg extended his hand respectfully. Yes, ma'am. I'm Greg Thompson. It's
Remember to leave a
an honor
thumbs
to meet
up on the live.
She
Thank
took
you.
his hand,
Appreciate
holding
your
it firmly.
presence.
Her eyes softened almost immediately. Manners? A rare thing In these days, she nodded once, then gestured, then sighed. Come on in. Dinner was quiet, like a quiet storm of testing glances and careful questions. Amara's grandmother asked Greg about his past, his work, his reason for being in Jamaica, his family. He answered each honestly, careful not to betray his family as well, but open about his desire to start anew, to live meaningfully, to build something real. By the time dessert was served, the older woman was smiling. She leaned closer to Amara and whispered just loud enough for Greg to hear. This one has a good heart. He's a keeper, baby girl. Amara blushed, ducking her head. Her grandmother touched her hand firmly. Don't let fear blind you, child. I know you, Amara. You have been holding back, guarding yourself. But love like this doesn't come often. This is genuine, baby girl. You'll be a fool to push him away. And she tilted her head and winked at her granddaughter. Amara's throat tightened. She looked across the table at Greg, who caught her gaze with a quiet intensity, and something inside her softened. Her grandmother was right. Maybe it was time to stop holding back. That night, as they prepared to leave, Amara walked Greg out to the veranda. The Mandeville air was cool, the stars shining faintly above. She likes you, Amara said softly, and tried to tickle Greg as he poked him in the side. Greg crouched and smiled. And what about you? He asked. She hesitated only a moment before sliding her hand in the gaze. I think I might be falling for you too, she whispered in his ears. Greg's heart pounded, but he said nothing, just held her hand tightly as they stood together in the quiet night, knowing something had shifted. Chapter 21. Balancing Acts. The days began to fall into pattern. Though nothing about it felt ordinary, Greg woke early one morning, his staring with his notepads across his desk, the small office he had claimed inside his new home. Applications, medical suppliers, and patient records demanded his attention. Just as often, he found himself directed by the sound of Amara's laughter. Somewhere in the house, she had declared herself his unofficial assistant. Though most of her work seemed to involve brightening his mood with her presence more than managing his paperwork. Greg, you can just use these stiff back chairs in the waiting room. They're so uncomfortable, she said one morning, jogging in from his notes to a furniture store downtown. Do you want your patient leaving with back problems before they even get to see you? He growled, rubbing his temples. I am a doctor, Amara. I fix problems, not design rooms. She flashed him a grin, tugging at his hand. And that's why you have me. By afternoon,
I have to take this call, guys. Don't go. I'll be back.
Sometimes they
Hey,
walk
Auntie.
through Negroes' bustling markets. Amara bartering.
Sorry about that, guy. It was an important call. My aunt, who I haven't spoken to for a while. Thank you for still being here. Appreciate you.
Amora softened,
Appreciate you all.
resting her hand over his. No, it's Jamaica. It's home for both of us now, if you let it be. His chest tightened at her words. She said them so naturally, yet each syllable carried a weight that lingered in his heart long after. Despite the stresses, they found ways to make room for joy and make each other laugh. There was the Saturday. They spent painting the waiting area themselves. Greg in an old t-shirt striped with bright teal, Amara smudging paint under his nose just to watch him school. They laughed until their arms ached, until the sterile white walls transformed into something warm and inviting. There was the Sunday evening when Greg closed his files early and followed Amara to the beach. They carried grilled fish from a vendor, sat cross-legged in the sand, and watched the sun melt into the horizon. Greg wasn't used to slowing down, to living outside his work, but Amara had a way of tugging him gently back to life. See, she said, her toes buried in the cool sand. This is balance. Greg looked at her, at the way the last light touched her skin, at the ease in her smile, and he wondered if she even knew how much she was teaching him. The practice was coming together piece by piece. The home was filled with furniture, plants, and the little personal touches Amara insisted on adding. And between all of it, the bond between them deepened, an invisible thread growing stronger each day. There were small unspoken things, of course. Greg's secret remained just beneath the surface, and Amara's fear still whispered to her in quiet moments. But for now, they allowed themselves to laugh, to argue, to plan, to dream. Together they were leaning and learning the art of balance, of wavering personal joy with professional ambition, of creating a shared world where both could breathe freely. And though neither of them said it aloud yet, both knew the truth. This balance was more than just temporary. It was the foundation of something lasting, something worth fighting for. Chapter 22. The first taste. The smell of rich with thyme, scallion, garlic sizzling in a skillet. He leaned against the doorway, arms folded, watching as Amora moved about with a kind of ease he could only envy. She tied her hair up into a loose bun, strands escaping to frame her face as she chopped fresh callaloo and added to the pan. You know, Greg. You know, Greg said with a teasing smile. I don't remember ever inviting a professional chef to my house. She turned, pointing her wooden spoon at him like a warning. Professional. Please, if I cook for a living, I'll starve. This is just basic survival, Greg. He chuckled, though the warmth that had grown in his chest since she walked into his kitchen felt far from basic. He had tasted plenty of he had tasted plenty of fine food in Boston, but there was something about watching Amara here, barefoot, humming under her breath, completely at home in his space, that stirred something deeper. As the food simmered, they set the final touches around the house. Amar insisted on moving the vase of flowers instead of the coffee table, arguing it would get more light there. Greg gave in, though mostly because he liked the spark in her eyes when she was winning. By the time the plates were on the table, the house smelled like a proper home. Dinner was delightful. They laughed over Greg's clumsy attempt at the patio, Amara touching her side when he tried to say, Medea, and make it sound more like a sneeze. She told him stories about growing up in Mandeville, about how her grandmother used to cook the same dishes with far more patience. Greg listened, smiling, soaking in every detail like it was medicine for his soul. But then her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and froze. Her smile fluttered, her shoulders stiffened. Greg noticed immediately.
Medea.
Everything okay?
Go on.
He asked. It's my dad, she murmured, standing to take the call. He tried not to listen, but the walls were thick, and her voice carried along with her father's sharp, clipped tone on the other end. And guys, we will stop here for today. What is it? Amara's dad is finally calling her to say. First, it was Greg's parents, and now it's Amara's dad. What could it be? Well, guys, to find out the answer to this very interesting question, you have to stay tuned until the next video. And thank you for watching thus far. And if it's your first time, remember to subscribe, like and share the video, and comment and become a part of the
Simple Michelle family.
and appreciate your time. I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate each and every one of you. You know, and like I always say, Philippians 3 verse 14, I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. So whatsoever you find to do today,
Do it to the
make
best
sure to do
of
it
your
to the
ability.
best of your ability. Bye bye.
This seems to be taking more time than I know. And I need to start cutting, so I discovered I give them trouble. One of the guys, because just I'll give them more than I expect.
Guys, welcome back to my channel, Simply Michelle, and happy to have you. I have been reading the story called A Chance at Love, written by Moi, of course. So without itching, as we say, we will get
Right into
right into that story. A first letter called That Changed Everything. The morning began quietly, with the leisurely rhythm of the waves brushing through the shore outside Charlottesville. Greg sat on the balcony of his room, a notebook open on his lap, though the pages remained empty. His thoughts were miles away, still tangled with the way Amora had looked at him yesterday, her eyes full of both hope and warning. He wanted to tell her, he wanted to tell her everything. But just as he picked up the pen to finally put his thoughts into words, his phone buzzed sharply against the small table. Greg froze. He received any calls since Lily Boston. Most of the people he cared about or who cared about him, he left behind without explanation. When he picked up the phone,
Thank you, my
and saw the
darlings.
name,
Thank you. If you have
his
reached thus
stomach
far
dropped.
in the video, the live, appreciate you, appreciate your presence.
Greg
God bless
answered,
you.
heart thumping. Then his friend's voice cracked as the line, half relieved, half accusing. Finally, I have been trying to reach you for what seemed like eternity, dude. Greg closed his notebook, gripping the phone tightly. I don't want to be reached, exclaimed Greg. Well, too darn bad. Ben shook back. Because the truth's out, Greg. I know everything now about the hospital, about your parents, about, he hesitated, about the marriage engagement. Greg's throat tightened. He stood pacing the narrow balcony. Ben, why, why didn't you tell me? Ben's voice broke. And all this time, you were hiding because your parents are Harper's golden couple, and you didn't want us to know? Greg squeezed his eyes shut, pain surging like a wave. It wasn't that simple, I promise. Wasn't it? Ben's voice softened. Now, anger giving way to hurt. Greg, I found out you were fired. They are covering it up. But I know. You walked out of that hospital with your head down, and no one knew why. I thought you were running from failure, or you died. But it's more than that, isn't it? Greg stopped pacing, his gaze fixed on the horizon, where the sky met the endless blue. The words crawled in his throat, raw and bitter. I was running from them, from my parents, from their money, from their cold, loveless world. Ben was silent on the line, listening. You know what it's like to be wanted, for you to be embraced for who you are. Greg continued to speak, voice trembling. I never did. To them, I was an investment. Choice I made had to serve their image, their legacy, their empire, even marriage. They promised me like a paw to one of Boston's wealthiest families. And I supposed to play along, smile, and pretend it was love? His hand clenched around the balcony rail. But it wasn't love. Not for me. Not even for her. She didn't even want me either. Hell, she couldn't even stand me. Vice versa. And still, my parents pushed because to them, it was business. A business transaction as usual, not a life. Ben exhaled on the other end, long and heavy. So you run, said Ben. I ran, Greg admitted, his voice cracking. Because if I stayed, I would have lost myself and my God-forsaken mind completely. I would have been their puppet forever. And maybe I was ashamed to tell you, to tell Tessa. You and Tessa have a real family. You have a community that love and appreciate it. People who care for you guys. How was I supposed to admit that I am one of the wealthiest men in the world but I didn't even have a mother or a father who knew how to love me. How could I reveal that? Tell me, Ben, how could I say that to you, Artessa? The tears in his eyes cooled down as his voice broke. The silence that followed felt helpless. Finally, Ben said quietly, Greg, I wish you had trusted me with this. I can't say I understand fully, but I do see now why you had to go. I am hurt, but I don't hate you for it. His voice faltered. I just wish you hadn't shut us out, man. Greg's chest ached. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ben. I know I hurt you guys, and I'm truly sorry, but at the time, this was the only way I know how to deal with it, man. The only way I knew was to run, and to run as far away as I can, or I could. And this is where I end up, Jamaica. You'll have to tell her, Greg.
Yes,
Ben
Greg, you
said,
gotta come clean, my boy.
This woman you have been
Gotta
spending
man
time
up.
with, the one Tessa said you mentioned, if she matters, you can't keep this from her. Secrets destroy you. You know that.
Hold on to
The
you.
man went quiet. Then Ben added softly, don't lose her, man. The way
Yeah,
you
don't
lost the
lose her,
pretty
Greg.
girls. And
She's a
the all
good one.
and
Don't you
when
lose
he
that
stood on the
girl.
balcony, the phone heavy in his hand, his heart pounded, shame gashing at his ribs. Ben was right. Amara deserved to know the truth.
Yes, sir.
But how could he tell her? How could he let her see the full weight of his past? The wealth, the loveless family, the broken
I am coming,
engagement,
my
the
darling.
scandal.
Lord, me don't
How
stop
could
cutting
he
it. Oh,
risk that
Jesus.
she might see him not as Greg, the man she laughed
Hello,
and
good
walked with
afternoon.
under the Jamaican sky, but as Gregory James, the failed peer of Harvard's most prestigious medical family? That evening, Amara found him in the garden, sitting alone on a stone bench. She came toward him with her usual ease, but her eyes lingered, sensing the shift in him. You look like the sea swallowed you whole, she said slightly, and her tone held concern. Greg tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Rough day. Rough one? Heart rough? She asked, lowering herself beside him. Greg stared at her, wanting to tell her everything. The words balanced on the tip of his tongue, but fear, old, familiar fear, chained him again.
Come on, Greg. Fear is not of God, my boy.
He repeated to her once again. He mourned. Her eyes searched him, dark and steady. Greg, I can feel when you are carrying something heavy. You don't have to keep pushing me away, she said. Tension between them was thick. The air charged with all the words unspoken. Greg wanted to bridge a gap, to trust her, to let her in. But he stayed silent. And in that silence, a more expression shifted, softness giving way to something guarded. She leaned back slightly, putting her hands into her lap, folding them. Then, I'll wait, she said quickly, but not forever. He pressed in around her, thick with the weight of secrets. And for the first time since arriving in Jamaica, Greg felt not just free, but trapped. After 12, the words left unspoken. The rain had rolled in over Miguel, sudden and heavy, the kind of downpour that sent tourists scrambling indoors while locals simply put up their umbrellas and went about their business. Greg stood by the lobby window of Chirella Inn, watching the streets of water blur the gardens outside. Amara passed him without a word, her tray balanced in her hand as she served drinks to a couple who was huddled by a table in the bar. She hadn't looked at him properly all day at once, and it cut him deeper than he expected. He clutched his fists in his pockets, feeling the weight of last night's conversation with Ben pressing harder than ever. You have to tell her, Greg. Secrets destroy people. He wanted to. He needed to. Silence was becoming unbearable. Every glance from Amora's dark, questioning eye was a knife. Finally, as the rain softened into a drizzle, he found her near the back terrace, clearing a table, her curls curling damp against her cheeks, her apron slightly ash-through. I thought she smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Hey, Glenn said softly. Hey, she echoed, her voice even guarded. Can we talk? He asked. Her movements didn't pause, but he saw her shoulders stiffen. I'm working. I know, but after, his voice held a quiet urgency. She didn't answer. Not at once. Just stopped glasses carefully. Then with a small sigh, she met his gaze. After, she whispered. That night when her shift ended, they met in the garden. The rain had left the earth damped, and the air smell of hibiscus wet soil. Lanterns cast a soft glow along the path, shadows flickering across their faces. Greg's just ended. He could hear Ben's voice echoing in his head again. Don't lose her the way you have lost everything else. Amara folded her arms across her chest. She looked beautiful, fierce, even in her exhaustion, but there was distance in her stance. What is it you want to tell me, Greg? She asked. He took a breath. His throat tightened, but he forced himself to speak. There are things about me you don't know. Things I should have told you sooner. Her brows lifted slightly. Like what? He hesitated, the word balanced on the edge of his tongue, ready to rumble. I come from one of the wealthiest families in Boston. My parents are Harvard doctors. I was promised into a marriage I didn't want. I ran because I couldn't take it anymore. But the fear was louder. What if she looked at him directly? What if she thought he was just another rich man running from responsibility? Greg, her voice cut through the silence sharper now. He swallowed. Amara, I... A sudden shout cut across the garden. One of the hotel staff hurried up to the path, calling her name. Amara, we need you, quick. The guest in room 12. Something about allergy reaction. Amara's head snapped towards the lobby. dutifully her instantly. I have to go, she said. Wait, Greg blurted, reaching for her hand. This is important. Her hand slipped from his grasp. Her eyes flickered to his, charm simmering there. Then you should have said it when you had the chance, she said, and she was gone, hurrying back toward the hotel, leaving him standing beneath the lantern light, his heart pounding with everything left unsaid. The next day, the distance between them widened. At breakfast, she passed his table without lingering. When he caught her eye across the lobby, she looked away. Later, when he offered to walk her home, she declined politely, but firmly. Greg felt the shift with every heartbeat. The warmth that had once wrapped around them now felt brittle and strained. That evening, he finally cornered her near the stop entrance as she was leaving. Amara, please. What's wrong with the desperation? Don't shut me out. And her eyes glistening, but her expression was hard. I am not shutting you out, Greg. You are shutting me out. He flinched. It's not like that. Then what is it like? She demanded, her voice trembling with emotion. You pulled me close. Make me believe we are building something real. And then you retreat into your silence. What am I supposed to think, Greg? Greg's chest speak. That I am trying to protect you. Protect me? She laughed bitterly. I'm protecting your darn self. Because right now, Greg, it feels like you are hiding. And I don't know from what. And it's driving me crazy, frankly.
Frankly, insane.
I spoke, then softening into something wrong. She looked away, her arms folded tight around her. Unless there is someone else, a wife, a fiancé back in Boston, or maybe that's why you can't tell me the truth. Maybe I'm just... Her voice fluttered. Maybe I'm just temporary. Greg's breath caught. No, Amara, no. He reached for her hand, but she pulled it back. Then prove it, she whispered. Tell me who you really are. Her eyes wide and searching, held him captive. This was the moment. This was his chance. He opened his mouth, ready, finally, to confess everything. But the words died in his throat. Fear claimed him again. And when he stayed silent too long, Amara's expression closed. She shook her head, tears brimming. I can't keep guessing, Greg. I can't keep giving when you won't. Maybe you're not ready. But I won't wait forever. No, Greg, I won't. She turned, walked into the shadows of the night, leaving him standing alone, his secret still locked inside him, and his chance with her slipping further away. And guys, we will stop here for now. Surely I am feeling Amara's pain. Can you imagine pouring out your inner that you have kept bottled up for so long as your safeguard, secret place, hiding, and you finally met a man that you think, there is something here. it worth giving this a chance. Maybe this is a chance at love. And you have taken that bold step as a woman who have been hurt already by a man and pour out into him. But yet he still grew up his story inside because of fear. But unknown to Amara, she don't what it is. Greg is truly hiding, so of course she's thinking the worst. But anyway, let us see. Let us see what is to come. What will
Yeah,
Greg,
babe.
you know, what
All right.
as we reveal to her what his secrets are, how will she take it? Will she run from Mandover Hills? Or will she stand up? I stand up to it and, love into it. Let us wait and see. If you've hit this far in the video, share your comments, and of course, remember to like up the video and to share it with your family and your friends. Like I always say, Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Whatsoever you find to do today, do it to the best of your